Hello, everyone, and welcome to Canadians with Disabilities and Their Allies. My name is Brent Frain. I'm the host, and you can also check out the show on your favorite app on Spotify or iTunes, wherever you find your app most suitable. And today I have Jason Ross and Stephanie Erb joining me from Winnipeg, Manitoba. They recently were living in Victoria, British Columbia, and have moved. And they're going to share their stories today. Very impactful stories, and I really encourage people that are, wanting to listen to us to tune in right now, or tell your friends and family to tune in and listen to the stories. If you want to be on the show and talk about lived experience stories for persons with disabilities in Canada, reach out to myself or Neil, and we'll get you scheduled in. Hello, Jason and Stephanie, and Amy. Hi, Amy. Hi, Jason.
Hello.
She's just waking up.
Yeah. Oh, wow. She's sure getting big.
Oh yeah.
She is.
She's walking around too.
She's got to know. She's got to learn your name, Brent.
Yes.
It's gonna be Mummy, Daddy, and then Brent, right?
That's right.
Well, welcome you guys to the show. It's awesome to have you on, and it almost seems like just like yesterday when you guys were here and we had you over for coffee.
I know we missed that.
Yeah, it's definitely you had lots to unpile, before you moved, and it was just go, and it just seemed like there's just not enough time in the day to get things done, and and then,
no, you're right. It was that week was just the last 2 weeks was just cramped, stressed. Yeah.
And now you're trying to adjust to back in Winnipeg, and for who knows how long. And so what? We'll just dive right in, and you can I guess you can start first, Stephanie or Jason, and tell us your story. Tell us what made you come to Victoria from Winnipeg, and how much you miss it, or vice versa. I mean, you just your story.
With us, the reason why we moved to Victoria, we were talking about this since 2017, but we're just a year into our relationship, and we just had a lot going on with Steph's auntie passing, and around that time, and it was we just weren't ready. So then we made the decision in 2020, in 2019 we made the decision that we wanted to move in 2020 to Victoria because my parents were there. And then COVID hit, so we had to push back for another year because of travel and all that. So 2021 was a good time, and we were still kind of iffy because of the travel. But then in the I don't know if it was late spring or early summer where they uplifted the whole ban thing in 2021 about traveling. So we actually got to fly out in November. We got to Victoria, stayed at my mom. We had to stay at my mom's for a couple of days because we didn't have a place. But then we found a place thanks to my parents right next door to you guys.
Yeah.
So we went there, but it was rough. We didn't go. We were on assistance till May of that year, in 2022.
Yeah.
Because of all the paperwork and everything.
It's a lot. It's a lot that people don't realize just to get on.
Yeah, the waiting list on that. I mean, getting on
the waiting list. Like they want us to go on basic to start, but basic assistance. But we pull from strings and we end up starting with PWD because we got paid because of the more beneficial for us than being a basic. And also we started working pretty much as soon as we got to Victoria, a couple of days after, we got hired on a Walmart. So, but we were just living paycheck to paycheck till we were on assistance and until we were on PWD in Maine. So it was hard.
I think I think it'd be good, Brent, if we for the people that are listening that don't know, maybe we can, or you can talk about the difference between welfare amounts versus PWD amounts, because they're both bad.
Yes.
they're both bad and both low. But you're kind of the numbers guy when it comes to that. So why don't we just talk about those?
Sure.
The difference between the two.
Yeah, the basic assistance in province of British Columbia is extremely well below the poverty level, and I mean that poverty level, and we talk a lot about this, Neil, on the show, as what is the real and true poverty level in Canada. But I mean the cost of living in British Columbia, as we all know, is extremely high. Right, it's the buying power because of all the taxes and all the municipal taxes, everything piled in. Getting to the basic assistance level, it's some people call it welfare, some people call it income assistance. It's extremely low. For years, decades, it was ultra low. It was at $610, I think it was at one time, and then it went to $710. I think it's $800 something dollars now, which you can't find anywhere to rent. I mean, let alone anywhere in Canada for that price. And if you do, you have to really wonder how deplorable the condition may be, right? You get some slumlords that just don't want to basically pick up the slack and fix things up. But however, with that being said, there are some really good landlords out there, some really good landlords that actually do want to keep up their buildings. But comparable with the PWD rates, yes, they're definitely well below the poverty level in Canada and in British Columbia. The buying power, it makes it more than 50%. It's extremely low. You still can't rent anywhere in market housing for that price. In BC, the basic amount is $1483.50 for basic PWD rate. Now, if you have to get tenant insurance, well, now that's a huge cost because you can't rent anywhere in a lot of places without tenant insurance. Once you get it, then you have it. But yeah, I mean, all these other expenses that come off, you want damage deposit. Well, if you get the ministry to pay for it, now that's a deduction off your check every month. So $20 off every month, they'll just keep on deducting it off automatically until it's paid off. That is a benefit for PWD in BC. I don't know about other provinces if they do that or not. But in comparison with the basic assistance versus PWD, yes, I mean you still can't rent. $375 is what the shelter rate used to be in BC. Some people got $125 increase if they could prove that their rent was actually more than a subsidized housing amount. So it was kind of like playing the pink unicorn I got behind me here. It's like saying, well, some people can have the 125 increase, other ones no if your rent didn't go up. Well, I think it should have went to everybody because the fact is cost of living has gone up, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of playing disabled people against disabled people. You can have some, but you can't.
Let's go back in time just briefly because I mean. I finished a university. I went to UBC, and I think I graduated in '94. And back when I graduated in '94, there was I knew so many people that were in university that were just like renting flats, for like maybe $500 or $600 a month.
Right
in downtown Vancouver, and again, I get that it was 30 years ago. I mean, but still, 30 years ago, you could get a place in Vancouver for $500 or $600 a month, and now it's you're looking at like 4,000. I mean, it's a huge difference. Like
It
massive difference, right?
It is, because like right now, like the shelter rates is now $500, right?
Yeah.
That the government gives.
Can I just interrupt for a second?
Yeah, for sure.
When we were getting $27.43. That's how much we were getting from PWD a month. But we had to take pretty much half of that out of rent. And that left with us with half. And that's when we had Amy. When we didn't have Amy, how much did we get when we didn't have Amy?
25 something.
We got 20. Oh yeah, we got 25. So they only give us we got 23. 23 when we had without Amy.
Yeah.
So when you had Amy, this was before the $125 increase.
Right.
So when we had Amy, it was an extra $100 and something after we had Amy, which is ridiculous. Because what we're supposed to do for an extra $100, for the so couple you get 23 and then extra 100 for a child. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly, Jason. And it doesn't make any sense why the government should be punishing people for having a child and not giving the proper resources and the funding to take care of the child. You give money and they put the money back into the child's well-being. You put the money back into the community. It's not rocket science for the government. But of course they don't really understand that. It's legislative poverty.
Yeah. Yeah. Like child tax, we get like in BC, you got $7.75 a month for child tax, but still, diapers are not cheap. Formula is not cheap. It's up to butt now, and how are you supposed to go through that in a month? Like, plus PWD with the prices for groceries and rent, and it's ridiculous.
It is, and especially if the rent is so high. I mean, there's outrageously high. I mean, wow. For what you both were paying at the apartment there, it's now going for. We saw the listing. It's now going for $1,600. Yeah, $1,600 now.
What a difference! Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, the same unit, because they just posted it, and it's nothing done to it. They showed a picture of him going, oh my gosh, like
we were looking for a 2-bedroom out there, and we just couldn't get anything under 22. We're lucky to get anything for that's not even decent apartment, a decent 2-bedroom. If we wanted a decent 2-bedroom, it was like we were looking like 25, 26. For a decent 2-bedroom, and no, we couldn't do that. Like we had, and of course with Stephanie's situation, we had to make the decision and move back to here. We didn't want to do that, but it wasn't only had to do with affordability. It also had to do with Steph's situation, and it was rough.
Yeah. And each property management company, the prices were different, and I noticed that too. And some cases, some of them were like $2,900, $3,100.
Yeah.
And they were okay places. I mean, ones that were even less were, they either didn't have an elevator, so it's not accessible, or they were basically run down. And so I kind of looked at that and I was like, wow, like these prices are so variable. And their government's not taking into account that the cost of living and the cost of rents are soaring higher and higher, and there's no rent control of any kind. Like, I mean, I guess in some provinces they don't have any rent control at all. Like once a year the landlord can put it up, basically, I guess whatever percentage it is. But if that tenant moves out, they can just jack it up to like double if they wanted to. Here, There's no vacancy control. I know some people call for vacancy control, other ones don't. I don't know, like the prices are going higher and higher. And sure, there's talk about build more housing. It's going to make it more cheaper. Well, is it? I don't know. I mean, is it really going to make it cheaper? I mean, if there's no accountability to corporate landlords. Now, here's the other flip side: is the government say, well, we're going to build social housing, right? We're going to build lots of social housing, but the waiting list to get on those into that kind of housing is extremely long. But in my view, for both of you, is people should be able to live where they want to live, like in the kind of housing that they want to live. They want to live in market housing, and yeah.
Here's the thing. Do you remember when we looked for that we had an appointment for that place in West Shore?
Yes.
They turned us down because A, we were on disability, PWD, which is not fair for them to do that. And B, we didn't have a job at the time. But yeah, so it was, for us, it was a slap in the face because we had the money, but for in their eyes, it wasn't enough.
Yeah. And you're not supposed to be able to discriminate on residency, are you?
No, it is actually against the Human Rights Act. It's total discrimination. I mean, and that happened to us in many occasions. Like I said, well, this is what the government gives us. We can make our payments. We've never missed a payment in our life for rent. Landlords, same thing, Jason and Stephanie, like they would say, well, no, we understand that, but we want people to live comfortably. We don't want people to have to use their shelter portion and then all their support or majority of their support to basically pay the rent. And I said, well, that's on me. If I need to use that to put a roof over my head, then that's what I'll do. But then they total discrimination, and they should not be doing that to you or anybody. They should not be discriminating for not wanting to rent.
No. And that was around the time where Steph seizures got really bad.
Right.
And and there was not like we couldn't. I couldn't work. We both couldn't work.
Yeah.
But again, that wasn't the only place either. That slapped us in the face. There's a couple others because of the situation. But of course they didn't need to know about her seizures, so we didn't tell anything. We didn't say anything. But of course, it has to do with his disability.
Yeah.
But, we're on PWD. So with us being on assistance, so because of us being on assistance, we're not good enough.
Yeah. There's that stigma piece again, Brent. We always talk about stigma, and there it is again, rearing its ugly head.
Well, exactly, and that's what I think a lot of people go through. They worry when talking to a potential landlord. Well, I mean, do I tell them that I'm on disability? Do I tell them about my disability? Do I tell them about conditions that we face on a day-to-day basis because they might be discriminatory and landlords, and they should not be discriminatory. They take the person for who they are. They can pay their rent. They're a good tenant. I mean, that's it. I mean, and it should be that's.
Hey, can you lift her up? Right.
Yeah, and I'm so sorry that that's what you both went through, and I mean that's just totally.
It's not only that, but it's growing up also. Like even Steph and I we went through that. We went through the same thing in school. They don't like once you reach a certain grade, and they say that you can't we don't think you'll be able to do regular classes. They put you into an alternative special need class.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When we should we should have a say.
Yeah.
We should have a say. Like we're like other people. We're like regular people. It's
Yeah.
we're the difference is has nothing to do with on the outside. It's what's on the inside.
Yeah.
And all of us that has a disability should all have a say, and we don't have it. We don't. It feels like we're discluded. We're discluded and having a say and having our own voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost it's like being judged. Yeah.
Sorry, Brent. I was just gonna jump in because we've talked about that before too. Is like, you know, like you and I are both like I'm 55 now, almost going to be 56, and you know, if you go back far enough, I mean, back then when you had a disability, like I grew up with my cerebral palsy, and the medical opinion back then, I mean, you know, it's kind of no fault of theirs. I mean, the doctors didn't really know as much as they know now, but the popular opinion back then was, well, if you have a cerebral palsy or any disability, it's like, well, you're gonna have like a mental deficit as well. It was just like, it's just that was what they thought, and so, you know, you had these doctors telling my mom, who, you know, thankfully she's a nurse, so she had the medical knowledge, and so when doctors would say, you know, don't expect anything from your son, he's not going to amount to anything, he's going to be a vegetable his whole life, and my mom would say, that's bull. I don't believe that.
Yeah.
So she would push back, but I mean, not everybody's got the medical knowledge and ability to push back on doctors and say, I'm not going to accept that, right? And so there's a lot of friends that I know that are, you know, grew up around the same time I did, that didn't get that pushback, you know, from their parents, like I got from my mom. And so you just assume, okay, the doctors know better, the experts know better than, you know, and you just accept it, and it's, you know, and we all know now it's like it's crap, right? But we're still dealing, like 50 years later. It's now over 50 years later, and we're still dealing with this crap of stigma of, oh, if you have a disability, you're way less than, you're like down here, you know. It's just assumed, you know.
Yeah. It's growing up. It's like growing up. It's like when you have a disability. It's like, oh my Lord. It's like we're having a. It was like black people back then. Oh my God, you have a disability. Oh my Lord, we should stay back. And
right, yeah. That's I think,
and it still is today. It still is today, Brent. You see the same thing, and it's pathetic. It's not right. Like the government is not listening to us. Like nobody's listening to us, and it's the same thing with the whole funding thing. It's sad that we have to go through this, and I'll even relate to the seniors. Seniors is probably going through the same thing. They're not getting enough either, and it's always has to do with the higher class. The higher class gets everything, and we get nothing on the stick, you know.
Yeah, as Sonia would call it, pittance. Here you go. Here's some pittance. Yeah. I call them breadcrumbs. Here's something. You know that bus stop that was outside the other apartment where you lived at.
Yeah.
bus stop there. Earlier this morning, I walked by there, and there was a lady. I know she lives in that building. I've seen her before, and she was talking to a gentleman. He was he's almost had like it's like a scooter, kind of like yours, Neil. And so I heard them talking, and there was this other guy. He says, "Oh, how are you two doing?" And he was waiting for the bus. And, "Oh, it must be hard getting around in that scooter." He goes, "No, that's just how it is." "Oh, I'm sorry. I hope you feel better soon. You can get over your disability. Like you can heal and get over it and be with physiotherapy." And I literally lost it. I go, "Do you even know what you just said?"
Nah.
Like that is total discrimination, total wrong. Like the stereotype, like it's just like, wow, like seriously, people, like I first thing I thought was, if that was Neil, he literally just, oh yeah, you would. I'd just tell you what you would probably would have said, but oh my gosh, so sorry, yeah.
It's hard for it, even though we have autism. It's hard for what we're. It's hard for it's hard going through half of our life growing up.
Yeah.
Didn't have much friends, or we were so discluded in everything.
Yeah.
And almost everything.
Yeah, it's like isolation. And it's with a person with a disability, born with a disability. I mean, they can have more disabilities as they get older, and they just have to be accepted in society just for who they are, not judged. That's just who they are, and it's just so wrong on how governments treat people with disabilities. It's like second or third class citizens, and I remember that line. I remember. I think I was telling you and Steph about that one time. There was a minister one time who compared people with disabilities to a third class citizens. Wasn't it Neil or something like that? It was one of the ministers said that it was, or compared the rates or something to Nicaragua. I think it was. I think so.
Wow. And now with us having Amy now, I think that's what we needed to fulfill our life.
Yeah.
Because we're happy being parents.
Yeah.
And,
totally.
And with us having a disability and with Amy not having it, with Amy being normal, it is kind of a challenge for us because we're so used to being around our people. But
no more.
But like I said, it's I think that's what we needed. We needed to have, because we're a lot more happier. We don't feel excluded as much as we were, even other than the whole funding thing, which is screwed over here as well. But yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult of what you're having to face, with relocating for sure. And I mean, finance wise, I mean, yeah, the having to adjust to what it is in Manitoba versus British Columbia. But that's only part of it, because Steph's health, right? That was the other major part in that part of that decision that you have to look at. Number one is for her.
We found out today, just like pretty much right before you messaged me about our Zoom meeting. We just found out today that we're not getting our last PWD, our benefit, because apparently on their file that we have started the benefits here, which is not true. We just had our appointment yesterday for here, and there's still some paperwork that we need to deal with. So we're not getting all that PWD. So we're pretty much screwed for this month of December.
Oh no.
I thought we were going to get one more because that's what he told us, but I guess because of us being in Manitoba and already had our a meeting already, that wasn't gonna that is not gonna happen now.
Oh.
And so here the benefits is backwards. We're getting more rent than we are basic. How in for PWD it's backwards. You get less for rent and more for benefit.
Jeez.
So you can't. So it depends. So either wherever you go for province, it seems like it's.
Yeah. It's not
But
equalized.
the cost of again, cost of living is cheaper here. But it doesn't see. But it doesn't. But again, it's again as you're below the poverty line for assistance.
You're having to juggle things in order to make things.
Here for couple, our basic is just around 1,000.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Wow.
And for rent, it's between 1,000 and 1,200, which is good for rent, but you're screwed over for basic needs and all that for the month.
Yeah, to get by.
Yeah.
Compared to BC, so 1,000 for a couple, but in BC it's over 2,000.
Correct.
Wow, so it's less than half.
And also because of us living in Manitoba, starting in July, our child benefits we lose $200, 200 and something. Yeah, so it's going to be like about 500 and something, supposed to 700 and something. Yeah. So what a big difference.
Yeah.
So this whole poverty. So this whole poverty, and yeah, it seems like every province is going through the same.
Yeah.
The same BS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So wherever you go, it's you're screwed no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Wow. So Stephanie, how are you doing? Like, how are you managing with the change? I mean, obviously, Jason's filled me in with a lot that's going on with your medical condition. How are you adjusting with that?
Good. I only had one so far out here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's more. It's way better than in Victoria, where I was having them every week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and it's something that environmental had a huge impact on that. And
yeah, it did.
Yeah, with the different kind of climate that you're in has a huge play into your condition.
Yeah.
I mean, somewhere where it's kind of in between the climate of Manitoba versus in BC, somewhere in between. You need, but then of course now you're further away. You guys are further away from family too at the same time. So I totally understand that it's hard. It's very difficult, and the decision that you have to make in order to try to juggle things accordingly. It's and then that's why I hear so many stories of people having to make different decisions that are not always the best that it is, but as an overall view, they're having to make the best decision that they feel that they need to do at that time.
Yeah.
You know, but having that balance of having the environmental, I guess the right climate that's going to work for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Winter pig versus, as I call it, winter pig. Yeah. But it's adjusting, especially like transit too, right? And having the accessible transit. I don't know too much about the transit there. I've been out there many, many years ago.
Transit here is bad.
Okay, so it hasn't been improved since I was there. That was many years ago.
Yeah, like transit it's really expensive for transit. Also transit it's just really bad, as in like here the homeless is just so bad here.
Oh.
And you just see them a lot on the buses and everything. It's not like Victoria, where they just pretty much leave you, they just leave you alone. It's nothing like that here. They ask you for money constantly, and it's like especially when you're getting into the cold season, it gets really it's the worst. And we do have shelters here, but they don't want to go.
Mm-hmm.
They rather sleep in the bus shacks in the winter and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's sad, because it's the conditions that are actually in some of those shelters that the cities and provinces provide. I'm hearing like these deplorable in some cases, and some people would rather be on the street or live in a tent or live in a little shack, or like huddled up at a door at a shelter of a business, because they feel more safe there than they do actually in some of the shelters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think giving people the right to housing, give them they have the right to housing. They should be giving people a safe place they can call home. And
they have the right to housing. They also have the right for jobs. I'm not like they everyone has a talent. Everyone has a strength, and everyone has a weakness. And it's the same thing with us having a disability. Everybody has a talent. I think I think a lot of people is scared to put it out there.
Yes.
Or don't know, or they don't know what the talent is yet. My talent, well, of course, my talent is baking. I'm baking and cooking. That's my talent. And that's why I went to school. That's why I went to school, and went to pastry for 3 years. And because I love doing it. When you love doing something, stick to it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I believe that everyone has a talent in whatever that may be, and is exploring those your talent. I mean, just exploring what your interests are and seeing where it goes from that point on. I remember you telling me all the stories about the different bakery stuff, and I mean, we joke around about Tim Hortons, right? And saying, is this fresh? I mean, it's like, and now these donuts are like, they're just so machines just make them, they're so perfectly round. I mean, and they're a lot smaller now. Of course, everything that we buy now in this day and age, it's all shrinkflation, right? It's like,
It's not only that, but it also has to do because it's not only that, but it also has to do because of labor costs. Labor costs makes a big part of it. When I worked at Tim Hortons, here for almost 10 years, I couldn't believe how much waste we went through.
No.
It was unbelievable, and I got so mad for that. But because who is going to be paying for labor costs?
Yeah, there's so much waste that's going on with with a lot of big companies. There was just recently I saw something on the news, Jason and Stephanie, that huge dump truck loads of mandarin oranges got dumped into the waste yards. I'm perfectly fine oranges. They just were just not to the perfection of being ripe enough for consumption. Well, all you have to do is let it sit there for a few more days, and perfectly fine oranges. They could have these company. They're going to find out which companies are doing it, but they could have easily been handed out to people with, I mean, just hand them out. They could just stand in front of the storefront. Here you go. Have an orange. Have an orange. Give them to people. This food security across the country right now is crazy. It's just messed up. And seeing all food waste, and that's just in oranges. I mean, a lot of the product right now is getting thrown out. The companies can actually recoup 100% of that cost, and they can still claim it and say, well, yeah, we've thrown it out, because they give them to food banks all the time, and they can give them to nonprofits. They can give them to churches, wherever. They can hand them out to people and still write it off and say, here you go. You know what? We're going to give them to you guys because that's just the right thing to do.
Right.
Oh.
You know?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's. Oh, go ahead, sir.
It's not like getting back to what Steph and I, just with the whole disability thing. Getting back to another thing is it's jobs. When you have a disability, jobs, as it's another problem. It's impossible to get a job. Especially when you say, "Oh, you have I have this." They don't want you.
Yeah, it's feeling like you're being judged by an employer that
It is.
and they think
we're getting. It's like I said, we're getting judged by. It's like what you and I said. We're getting judged by our rights to work, our rights for funding, our rights to graduate.
Yeah, and housing. Yeah, and a lot of things, accessibility wise too. The rights to being able to. I remember telling you guys, going from Victoria to go to Duncan. Remember, we took you out to Duncan.
That's right.
And that's the same thing, like the right to just the transportation to go from one area to another one. Oh no, so that's a huge thing again. Like it's the rights of being able to get to and from, the rights to have housing, income security. I mean, you name it. There's so many obstacles that need to be fixed.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing here with transit. Like it's so bad here, especially when especially when into like the rich area, or like when you're in the outskirts. There's no buses on the weekend. There's no buses on the weekends.
Oh no.
In certain areas because people don't go anywhere. Well, what happens if you're disabled or has or something like that, or a senior wants to go grocery shopping? You have to cab it. That's expensive.
Yeah.
You mean they expect people to want to eat?
Exactly.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, you want to take transit? Oh, really? Oh, no, those are like 9 to 5 people. Oh, we just have a commuter service. No, wait, but they don't run on the weekends because people don't do anything.
Couple months before we moved to Victoria, we were living in the area. We were living in a good area, and they got rid of they shortened the bus service out there to 10 p.m. and no running on Sundays. Yeah.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah. So we couldn't. Yeah. So we had to cab. So Steph and I had to cab it to go to work and all that on the weekends. And are you kidding me?
Yeah. Wow, there goes the wages.
And we know how
Yeah.
affordable that is when you're on a fixed income, right?
Oh my lord!
Yeah.
We were paying $30 there and $30 back just
Yeah.
for a cab.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's $60 straight down the drain, just like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was that?
They only care. They only care about the major bus routes here in Victoria. I mean, in Winnipeg. They don't care about the
Rural,
yeah.
kind of the rural routes, and those are they call them feeder routes that go into the main routes. And I mean, in Victoria, some of the outlining bus routes are pretty nasty. But
Well, yeah, look at West Shore and all that. Like West Shore, you're lucky to get a bus every 2 hours on the weekend.
yeah,
That's how bad it is in West Shore. Like,
or even up to
and like-
Sioux.
Oh yeah, Souk. I couldn't work on weekends in Souk when I used to work up there because it was impossible.
Yeah, and
I had to, especially in the evenings. In the evenings, I had to get off an hour early just so I can catch the bus to Souk.
and especially if there was a little bit of snow. I mean, it would just come to a grinding halt.
Or shut down. Like then I couldn't go to work up there, especially if the fog. Like when there was fog, I couldn't go up there.
Yeah, and it gets very foggy out in that area. Oh, extremely.
Well, and then people would just say, why don't you just buy a car?
Oh yeah, that's what. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And you can afford the insurance and the gas and the repairs, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, apparently there's a new manufacturer that's going in Vancouver. It's a Tesla.
Oh.
Yeah. Apparently, it's being proposed to anyway.
Well, if I was offered a free Tesla, I would just sell it and take the money and run.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah. You know, there's so many barriers that PWD face across this nation, and they need to be barrier free.
I hear it. She's saying Brent. I hear it. I hear it. She's saying Brent.
Yeah. Where's Sonia? Hey, she's right here.
Saying Brent, I want the eggnog. Give me the eggnog.
Where's that eggnog? Brent, that's overpriced.
Find me the cheap eggnog.
How can save on so much? I thought they're supposed to be cheap. I thought it was supposed to save on goods. Yeah.
So yeah, that's how bad it is for transportation here. It is wicked.
Wow. It hasn't changed. I haven't been out there for decades.
If I was living there, I'd be going there every day to City Hall.
Say City Hall, you should be going every day.
That's what I did.
You know, that's because I remember going around. My dad lived out there, and so of course, as a young man, you want to go out and about and check out. Hey, where does this bus go? Where does that bus go? So I'm out and about. When will you be back? I said, I don't know. Yeah, I said, I don't know. Don't get lost. I said, hey, that's not a safe area to go to. Yeah, but he would be down on. Oh, geez, where was that? It'll come to me while we're doing the show. I'll mention it, but I'm just trying to recall whereabouts he was. He wasn't far. I'm just trying to recall it. He wasn't far from where the river is. There's a river and there's a bridge.
Yeah.
Remember, whatever that's called.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, that was his neck of the woods. Yeah, he wasn't far. Yeah. But yeah, it's there was a name for it, but it'll come to me. But yeah, I mean, I remember the transit having to wait a while for a connection, like a connecting bus to go another direction, and I was like, wow, when is this bus coming? Yeah, so I mean, the weather was good, but I thought, wow, imagine if the weather was not so good, and someone told me, oh, well, this is Winnipeg. Have you been here in the winter? I go, no. Oh, you don't want that. You don't want to come here in the winter. Really? So I talked to my dad about it at the time, and he says, oh, no, you don't want to come here in the winter. No. I said, you think it's bad in BC? That's nothing compared to here.
So and that's another thing. That's a big difference here compared to Victoria for assistance. We don't we only have we have to pay half for a bus pass.
Oh.
Okay.
It's not. So I think it's 60 something dollars that we have to pay a month for a bus pass.
That doesn't seem like half.
No,
Yeah.
a monthly bus pass is almost 110 here.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
That
Yeah,
sounds kind of sounds like half my wheelchair, Brent. It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. With half
Yeah.
the front to the back though.
Yeah.
So we don't get a compass pass like what we have in Victoria, and that was so convenient for us because we got to go everywhere. Here we can't because it's so expensive.
You're isolated and trapped.
Yeah. And bus tickets are even up the butt too. It's like $20 something for 10 tickets.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's like it's ridiculous. Like so, we do. So there is if you go to a job appointment a place that they help you look for a job, then you get a free bus pass every month. But you have to work under 25. You have to work under 22 hours if you want to.
Oh.
Per month, yeah.
In order to qualify for that.
Exactly.
You have to do under or over that.
You have to work under 22 hours.
If you work
Everyone-
over, you're penalized then, or how does that?
If you're over 22 hours, then you do not get a bus pass every month. So you have to work under. Yeah.
That seems so crazy to me. That's
They-
like, who invented
It's like
that? Who invented that
press
kind of
it down.
logic? Who invented
Yeah.
that
They
kind of logic? Eh?
press it down, like saying.
That's why I wanted to clarify whether it was like over or under. But that seems messed up.
No,
logically.
like
Oh my-
see when I worked at Tim Hortons at the time, I only worked weekends, so I got to qualify. But when I worked at the donut shop, the other donut shop, Old Donuts,
Yeah.
I didn't qualify because I worked 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, get a job, work hard, but don't work that hard because then we won't help you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, don't work that hard because we don't give you a bus pass otherwise.
Yeah.
But how do I get to it? I don't know. Can you walk?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Now that we're not giving you a bus pass, too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you crawl there? I mean, yeah, here,
Yeah.
yeah. It's
Like,
terrible.
like Manitoba is so backwards for their systems. They are like, my lord.
Oh, Sonia doesn't have her 2024 sticker yet for her bus
Oh,
pass.
oh,
They have-
oh no, not this again.
Yeah, I know. I
No,
heard.
they didn't send it to like.
I heard some people are slowly getting them. There was one. I was reading an article. I'm glad we're talking about bus passes. There was one lady who I follow on social media, and she said that she didn't get her sticker, and so she got a notice saying, we need to make sure that you're still have a bus pass. So she phoned the ministry and said, well, are you not sending the sticker out? Oh, we're just reviewing it to see if you still want to stay opted in for the bus pass. Oh my gosh. Like,
Man.
are you kidding me? And I said to her, well, you tell the government, just give them back the $45 a year bus pass because that's what they committed to in the first place. Oh, and so I got the response, here's this. The computer system is still broken. We're still trying to figure out how to fix it.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, it's still broken, Neil. It's still broken.
You wonder if they actually have a school for MLAs where they say we're gonna train you how to speak this stuff. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to believe it, but you have to speak it. But you don't have to believe it. Just speak this shit and make other people believe it.
It's like magic. That's a pink unicorn.
Yeah.
Magic. Just poof,
Yeah.
changes just on a whim. Just a
keep
policy.
like, vomiting up stuff and like.
I always wonder that if they do that before question period. Okay, this is what I want you guys to talk about today.
Yeah. Who's going to take the question on that one? Do we want to answer that one? Sure. Well, we'll wait a couple of days before the end of the session, and then we're going to throw it out there.
Yeah.
I would feel so hard if I had to rehearse my lines and stuff. I would fail so hard. Like I can't rehearse any. Like like I'm always been in the type of guy that I'll just speak my mind, and like if you tell me to rehearse something, I'm sorry, I can't do it. So I would fail so hard with that. Like
I know. I would vomit myself. I'd be trying to like read from a script, going like or like a cue card of saying this and that, and then I would lose track of where I am on that cue card. And I remember again one time I gave a speech in front of the legislature, Jason and Stephanie, and I had like a little cue card, but I didn't have really notes. I just like little highlighted like in like large letters. So when you're talking to an audience, it wasn't a huge audience, but there was quite a few good handful there. And so I'm thinking of reminding myself, yes, Brent, you've got to say this one part. So I kind of like talking, glance, and I saw that topic. But if I were to put like kind of like a script of words, a highlighted bolt, say they they call them little bolts, right? And if I were to do that, I would lose track of where I am. I'd be like, Brent, just wing it. And at that point I had said, anytime I give a speech or, and back then the vision of doing this podcast was in the back of my mind. I just didn't know how I was going to launch it. And so I always stuck to that. And I was like, no, you know what, Brent, you were taught in your college, because I took a course on that. It was about autobiography of how to interview yourself and telling your story about lived experience, how to just be you. I mean, don't change yourself for anybody, just be you. And that's one thing that I want to push forward is to the disability community. Like, we recognize you. You recognize yourself for who you are, your strengths that you have within yourself.
Right.
And just because the government judges you, that's their hiccup, right? They obviously have to learn that just because they're protected under legislation, that they're an MLA or an MP or an MPP, whatever it may be, they're privileged. They have the financial privilege. However, they are elected officials that do need to protect their constituents, right? So when they hear voices coming forward of people when they're writing, they need to listen to lived experience stories, and they need to look and say, well, the policies that are enacted, they need to do something and say, well, work together across the government, all across government, doesn't matter what party it is, change the policy and say, hey, these policies have been in place for decades and decades and decades. I mean, it probably goes back to centuries. I don't know. Yeah. But whoever wrote them, I mean, obviously, I don't know. I mean, maybe they didn't have a disability that they thought affected their life, but it affects anybody at any time. I mean, and I'm glad like how you described it at the beginning of the podcast, Jason and Stephanie, is like a person's disability can be a hidden disability. Like they can look at a person and say, oh, you look fine. Like, yeah, or whatever it may be. No, like the person is, well, I mean, they are who they are. They may feel fine, but they're being judged by policy makers who say, oh, just go get a job. Just go get a job.
Yeah.
Don't whine about it. Your rates are too low. Or here's another one. Oh, my tax dollars are going to go up if I have your rates go up. Well, here's the equation on that a lot of people don't know, because of course government's never going to reveal this. I mean, they say that the billionaires are making such record profits right now that they don't pay tax. Some of these corporations do not pay tax in Canada. They're handing out over $50 billion, estimate what they're losing per year right now to foreign investment. Isn't that crazy? 50 billion, not million. That's enough to basically, wow, that's just that.
We have Dan in chat, and he's just saying, hi folks. He says, thanks for sharing your story. So that's good.
Oh, Dan is a regular.
You're welcome.
Dan's one of the regulars. So, but yeah, I was going to say, like, again, back when I was growing up, so we're going back, 50, 45 years, something like that. I would always get people coming up to me and saying, what's wrong with you? Looking at my crutches or whatever. And I'd be like, nothing. What's wrong with you? You know, it's like, why are you asking a stupid question? You know. But yeah.
Yeah, or I mean, some people would say when I was growing up too. Some people say, "Well, yeah, but you're wearing glasses. That should just totally fix the disability, right?" I mean, yeah, yeah, you can do whatever you want. You put your mind to it, you can do whatever you want. And one person who said that was guess who? A teacher.
Oh.
A teacher said that.
Wow.
Yeah, a teacher said to me, and even then I went, "Wow," because I just finished talking to an eye doctor beforehand and said that that's just how it is. Unfortunately, it can't be corrected. And so a teacher said, "Oh, if you put your mind to it, you can do anything you want." However, there's other disabilities that are related to it too.
Mm-hmm.
Right. When I first found out that I had a disability, I refused to believe it. Like
Mhm.
I just wanted to be normal like everybody else did.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it took me so long to accept the fact, many years to accept the fact that I had.
Yeah.
Because like what you said, everybody all has a different disability. Yeah, like Steph and I have high functioning autism. Like nobody sees it on the outside. It's an inside.
Yeah.
Sometimes we see it on the outside, but not all the time. And that's why I refused. Like,
yeah. I think part of it too is like I can relate to that too, right? I can relate to exactly what you're talking about. It's feel like your person's being judged or being talked down to, of going, "Oh, well, poor," like, I mean, and I'm just saying this out loud. It's like saying, "Oh, well, poor you." Like, I'm sorry you're going through that. Is there something I can do to make it better? No, I'm just who I am, and it's like, and you two are who you are.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that Sonia and I always talked about is like, wow, like, I'm so happy that we know you, and I mean, and we like you for who you are, and yeah, and I always want you to know that it's like we like you for you, and your disability is who you are, and
exactly.
my disability is what I have. Like when I was going, like I can relate because I was going through college at the time. I was taking an immigration course, and then I took a traffic and customs and immigration course to be a customs officer. Imagine that. A customs officer. Imagine, eh? I would have been working at customs as a customs broker.
Right.
So I come across with the commercial semis. I'd be there inspecting things, and yeah, unfortunately, my disability it became an obstacle in certain parts of memorizing a lot of things that I had to go and do. I struggled with it very immensely. Pushed myself. I said, "No, Brent, I can do this. And it came to a point where an instructor said to me, "Brent, I think you're wanting to succeed, and that's awesome. I'm proud of you." I still remember that. But unfortunately, sometimes some people are just cut out for different careers or different career paths or what their interests are. You need to maybe explore that. And I said, nope, this is what I want to do. And so my disability, it really became prevalent. Like another disability that I didn't even, well, I obviously I had, but it wasn't really brought out to me to really face in front of me. And I was saying, "Hey, think this is something else for you." So I just said, no, like if you continue, you're going to fail. Like, and that'll be more of a, not really a setback, but it'd be lower your self-esteem down. And so I basically, I kind of fought it. And they said, because we're going to be putting grades up on the wall of all the students in our class. And this is what your percentages are. So people go like, yay, like as a momentum to, hey, you can do better. It was kind of like a competition is how they wanted to do that, to just to see where people were at. Mine, the percentage was extremely low. I knew that I had to make a decision. So I got out of it. I went into a different career path of a program that taught me a lot about career exploration. And then I took an administration program, office stuff, and that was good, computer programming, and I excelled. Like I did, like, wow. So basically, when I was going through that, Jason and Stephanie, through that program, the college had reached out. I guess they had their own administration. They said, we want to get maybe some assessment done for Brent and see where he's at, just to see things. And I was actually diagnosed with a learning disability on top of it, but it wasn't. But a point of saying, like, on your learning curve of learning things that are maybe sometimes easier to learn versus for things that are harder to learn. I was able to read stuff at a university level very easily, but stuff at a grade 8 or 9 level, I found very difficult, certain passages. And they said that was very odd because it should have been the other way around, right? And but then they did a reverse thing, and it was actually easier and harder, which technically it should be harder, right? So it's a learning curve of written versus audio. Some people are easier to understand when someone is typing something out to them, or they're verbally understand. I can do both, but on certain things, certain passages are different. But it's one thing I learned for me is like listening to what you've told me too is understanding that that's just who I am. That's just, and I like who I am, and people like me for who I am, and I like you for who you are. And
how about me, Brent? Do you like me?
And I like Neil for who you are. But you know, it's when you're getting some throwing at you of saying, well, hey, here you go. Here's something else. Here's another curve for you, a curveball. I remember a doctor had gone through all this testing, and I was like, wow, it was amazing. But going through and having like lunch and dinner, it's on me. I'm buying this lunch and dinner. I got paid to go to it. And you know who was, Neil, that had put me through that chapter? You'll never guess.
Gordon Campbell.
VRS.
Oh, VRS. Okay.
VRS actually were the ones who stepped in and actually put me through that. They paid.
I thought you were talking about a bunch of reassessment stuff again. That's why I said.
Yeah. But no, there was a chapter off of them. They had referred me over, and the other part of it was the other arm up of VRS paid for me to go to it. VRS was paying me to go to school, so I was getting transportation from that, living at that, and VRS is paying for that. So, and plus I had a student loan at the time. So
and I just wanted to say too, like when I was going to college and university as well, like I knew I had the intelligence to do it, or else I wouldn't have even tried. But one of the things I wasn't sure about was, you know, my writing speed is pretty slow, right? Like my coordination, my hands just sucks.
Mine too.
So
mine too.
So my writing speed is like really bad. And so I thought, well, you know, I might get stuck with, you know, writing down notes in class for like in the lectures and stuff. So my mom thought, well, maybe you could get a tape recorder and just tape all the stuff and tape all the lectures and then play them back later. And I thought, you know, initially I thought, well, that's a good idea. But then I started doing like a couple of, I only did it for like a day or two, and I realized, you know, that's a shitload of work. It's like sitting through like a 2-hour lecture a second time. Like I don't have the time for
4 hours.
I don't have the time for that. So then you just realize that, hey, wait a minute, I'm the expert on my own disability. That's where you have to realize it. Like, wait a second. It was like kind of an aha moment kind of thing. It was like, wait a sec, I'm the expert on my own disability. I can just adjust and figure this out. Like, I don't want to have to sit through a whole 2 hours lecture again, like audio. And so I just got used to writing slow and adjusting, you know, and so you just adjust to your disability and make do, and realize, you know, I don't have to reinvent I don't have to reinvent everything and sit through a whole lecture a second time. I can just do it the one time and be happy with it.
Yeah, I was for me, I was taught to do touch typing because I was a lot faster at doing that, and I thought I can't do this, And then I realized, yeah, I can do this. And I mean, I was typing up to 100, at one time, 119 words a minute.
Wow.
I was clocking up there. I think the record was 120, yeah, 124. But then she says, I remember this one teacher, and she was brought in to help me with that. And she put a book over my hand, but high enough where I couldn't see it. I couldn't see what I was typing. She goes, type as fast as you want, but in your mind, just I want you to just type whatever you're thinking, and then if there's any typing errors, that's fine. Just don't have to be perfect, and we'll just see where things are at. Yeah, it was like 136 words a minute, but there was tons of errors here and there, and it's like, well, what does that mean? I go, I don't know.
I can max it at about 30.
I can't even do that.
Yeah. But on average though, it's like perfect typing. I was at 98 words a minute.
Wow.
So it was pretty darn good. But the thing is, that was for me to keep up with lectures and keep up with stuff in the classes, and then they would blow up this font really big. Oh, maybe this will help you. And I said no. And then I would lose track of where I am. Like because they'd be on a projection screen. Well, I couldn't see that far in the class. So they realized, okay, wait a minute, he's having trouble reading this on the projection screen. I said, then just make it more accessible for me. So they just blew up this other paper, and I was able to read the stuff fast. But then I was just able to put headset in, and then I was able to listen, and I was typing it fast. So
we've reached the top of the hour. We're actually about 15 minutes into the second hour. Do you want to start wrapping up, or?
Jason, Stephanie, are you good for a little bit, or do you want to?
We're good. Yeah. Okay.
We're good. Okay. Yeah. Okay, we can go for a little bit then. Okay. So tell me, I'll jump into when you're going through school. How did you find I know you mentioned about the. I guess it was more like modified classes. That's what the word I was trying to think earlier.
That was I didn't start modified class till after grade 10.
Yeah.
But I remember growing up, I went so much physio because I had bad hand coordination.
Mm.
They wanted me to. I was holding a pencil. I was holding a pen wrong, and it's they wanted me to do their way, and I couldn't. They give me one of those grips that you put on the pencil pen, so you put your thumb there, thumb grip, thumb grip, and I tried and I couldn't.
Oh, okay.
But school was fine. Science and math was my two strongest subjects. I was getting 97s, 98s percentage, so I was doing great. But then going into grade 11, they didn't think I'd be able to hack it. So I ended up going into grade 9, grade 10, I went to it was called alternative class. It was under modified, above modified, which was great. Everything was fine, and then they didn't have it for grade 11, so they didn't think I'd be able to handle regular classes. So they put me into a CAP. It was called CAP class, which was kind of like a class for special needs.
Oh. So
because of that, I couldn't graduate with my friends. I had to graduate 4 years later. So I couldn't graduate to 2021. To 2001 instead of 1998.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Yeah, so that was hard. So that was hard because I left all my friends behind. I left everything. I was in that class. I got to. I actually, because of me being in the regular class, I still got to still got to see my friends during break and everything. I still got to have a locker and everything because of it. But the rest of the class, they couldn't because of them being in that class. But see, I got special treatment.
Oh.
Which I felt bad because of me having special treatment in a way, because I started because I was growing with all the special need people, I made friends in that special needs class. Mm-hmm. I also made friends outside the class too. So it was hard being balanced because of that. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be normal. I didn't want it to be in that class. But I'm glad I did in a way because I made friends in that class. Mm-hmm. But of course, they treated us like grade 5, grade 6 math, and I didn't want grade 5, grade 6 math. I wanted challenge. Mm-hmm. And that's what they gave me. They gave me a challenge in math. I didn't want to go through grade 5, grade 6 math, and because it made me feel dumb.
Yeah. You. It sounds like, I mean, being treated differently. Like, again, being treated differently of being, well, you're in this class, so let's give you this instead of what you wanted.
Right.
As of just being inclusion, right? Of being included.
Right. And the thing is it does follow you around, because I have a really good friend of mine. We talked earlier, like I had said, my mom being a nurse, she pushed back on the popular opinion all the time that your son will never amount to anything, right? Well, I have a really good friend whose parents didn't push back, like I was saying. They believed the opinion, so they, and like this friend of mine, we're the same age. But because they believe that the opinion, okay, you got to protect your son because he's not gonna amount to much. They believed it, and so same thing. They held him back in modified classes, and now as an adult, like we're talking years and years, like decades later, right? I mean, like I said, he's the same age as me now, and decades later, like I'll talk to him, and decades later it still bothers him. Like he knows now as an adult, like he knows that I went to modified classes, I never really graduated. Like he knows that his graduation was, for all intents and purposes, a sham because his classes were modified. So for all these years now, he's been carrying around the stigma because people put him in there and said, modified classes for you, and like we're talking, like I said, 40 years later, it still bugs him. And so, we talk about, you're just disabled, get over it. Well, this stigma can last for decades, literally decades, right? And I know, like I said, talking to him, it's like 40 years later or more, it still bugs him. Like the stigma of the modified classes still bugs him, because he knows, he says, Neil, I didn't graduate for real, and it bugs me. He says, it bugs me that I never got the chance to really graduate. It says it pisses me off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It still bugs me to this day, but I made up for it because after that, I actually went to pastry class and cooking, and I actually got a diploma for that. So I actually got them made up for it.
Awesome.
But still, I think of it like, what if I went to regular class? Like I didn't have the voice.
Yeah.
They won't listen to me. So what if I did regular class and I passed and graduated. And
Well, yeah, and some, and there are people that unfortunately that they feel that their voice can't, it's not going to be heard, or they don't want they think that nobody's going to listen to what they want, and they just go with it because that's what the teachers say, or the doctors say, or whoever, and some people will say, no, I'm standing up for what I want, and what, yeah.
Right. Like, and for what stuff, on behalf one, I'm about to say about Steph, because she's busy with Amy.
Yeah.
But she went through the same thing. She didn't graduate a regular grade 12.
Right.
And she's going back to school in September to finish it. She has already got her grade 10 already.
Yeah.
And grade 12 English. She just needs her grade 12 math.
Yeah.
So she's going back in September to finish that and actually graduate at a normal level.
And this is
awesome.
why your show is so great, though, Brent, is that you bring people on the show to talk about lived experience, and you're giving voice to things and ideas where there's a lot of people out there that don't use their voices or can't use their voices in the right way or whatever, and so this vehicle, this podcast, brings those ideas out and we share them. And so for all those people that are, for maybe no fault of their own, they're silent and they don't have a voice, programs like this podcast brings those voices to the forefront, right? So that's why I like doing this.
Yeah.
I totally enjoy doing this because I believe every person, regardless on who they are, they have a voice and their voice needs to be heard. I think
absolutely.
I think a lot of people that have disabilities feel that they're being judged by government, like, how dare you speak up? No, like what we say is how it goes because it's policy. No, like I literally contradict it because everyone has a voice, right? We have a voice, and everyone has voice. I have a voice, and Jason, you have a voice. Stephanie has a voice. Sonia has a voice. Neo has a voice. Dan, yeah. I know, Dan, you're watching live on this feed. Hey, what are you doing with it? But everyone has a voice.
Dan has a swear jar.
He has a swear jar, yeah. But I mean, his story is the same thing. Like everyone has a story, and anyone wants to share their story. I mean, your voice is who you are, and you have a right to tell everyone if you want to what your story is. I mean, it should be told. But don't feel that you need to be muzzled or like held back of saying, well, nobody's going to care to hear what I say.
Everyone has a story. Every disability, we should all stick together, and we all are equal, and we're not equal, and that's the thing that the government doesn't get. We need to be equal. We need to be heard, and they're not giving it to us. We all like we are all like even though we don't know each other, all disabilities should, no matter what, should stick together. We all stick together. We all hear you guys.
And yeah, I couldn't have said it any better than that, Jason. I mean, you summed it up really well on that part, and on everything that you've said. Your story and Stephanie's story, your journey that you've gone through, and like sharing your story with me. It's so important to get your message out there, and everyone who comes on, they share their stories. I find that very inspirational for me on advocacy of bringing all the inequalities of what people go through as ammunition and throwing it back at the government, saying, look, see what you're doing. You see what you're doing. You're causing division amongst disabled people, and I'm not an expertise when it comes to the right kind of housing. And like when I say to people, oh, no, well, no, you should live in subsidized housing. You should live in market housing. I say people should live wherever they want to live. Autonomy wise, live where you want to live. And if you're not having enough money, and obviously people want to live in social housing, it's not always the best. One of our the building that we beside where you live, Jason. I thought it was always a condominium. I always thought, no, it's actually co-op housing. It's actually co-op housing. Yeah. But again, people live in there because it's actually cheaper housing, right? Again, that's where they want to live. But if they want to live in regular market housing, like a corporate landlord, like where you lived and where we're living right now, is a corporate landlord. That's the kind of setting where if people want to live in that housing kind of setting, they should be able to keep living in that housing. But the problem is now it's high market rent, right? So that problem is that the government should say, okay, you want to continue living in that sector housing? Here, we're going to top this up. This is enough that you get. We're going to make sure that you've got enough to pay that rent. Is there a problem that the government's worried that the rents keep going higher? Well, yeah, then they need to deal with that corporate landlord and say, okay, we need to get so many units in that building that are now going to meet like $500. Hey, that's what the government says it's for housing. Here's 500. Well, no, the landlord says, well, that's not enough. Well, then we obviously know that there's a huge broken part of the system that's deliberately set that way. And then they need to work with the corporate landlords and make sure people have housing. Here's another stat for you. This will boggle your mind. A lot of the MLAs or ministerial people across the country, they get $2,500 a month, Jason, for their housing.
Wow.
Yeah, for their secondary home while they're. So if they are traveling to another constituency or, I don't know, doing a fundraiser, maybe they're going for meetings and they need to stay somewhere, they're given $2,500 a month, each and every one of them. Yeah.
See, that makes me sick.
For a second residence, we should make.
Yeah,
make
for second.
Yeah.
That makes me sick.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And meanwhile, they give PWD pittance, and then they say they wonder why people are living in tents, living in cars. They having to choose between paying their rent, buying their food, paying their rent, or whatever. So they want to go somewhere. God forbid they want to go for a cup of coffee. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? In choosing, and nobody should have to choose. They should be. Obviously, I talk a lot about on the shows about the Canada Disability Benefit. I mean, where is that going to be going federally? They're just dragging their heels. There's no magic number now. Like some people say, well, 2026, 2025. And some of the MPs are really they're really pushing hard at trying to get a emergency fund out to people. They basically the federal government just basically saying no, and they don't want to do that because there will be another program they have to implement in, and it'll delay the other one that they're working on, which is the Canada Disability Benefit. To me, it's excuses. It's just a bunch of rhetoric. Because imagine if it was them, Jason. Imagine if it was an MP or an MLA, and they were suffering, or they would get that money out there that quick. They wouldn't want to suffer. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's posturing.
Exactly. It's
the urgency.
Yeah.
We'll call it an emergency, like that.
Resilience. Resilience.
Yeah, resilience. Yeah.
The word resilient. Yes, I remember that one. Resilient. Isn't that resilient, Neil? or hey, Jason, isn't that resilient? How resilient the rates are? But but BC's going to be getting a state-of-the-art new computer system though in 2 years, so that's going to be that's something to look forward to. It's going to handle big payouts though, because the one right now it can't handle big payouts apparently.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if I should be able to compute new bus passes too. I mean, yeah. But hearing what Stephanie's gone through too, it's difficult. It was such a difficult decision. I know you and I talked a lot about when you told us that you're going to be moving. I was like, oh no, like but I understand. Like I understand the elements of environmental. Who knows? I mean, where do you see like down the road? Where do you see yourself? Do you ever see yourself back in BC? Maybe not in Victoria, but do you see yourself back in BC anywhere in the future or in near future?
We like to go back, like
Yeah.
Not in Victoria, but
Yeah, maybe in the Lower Mainland.
yeah,
The weather a little bit different there. You're not by the ocean. I think has a lot of factor on the weather element. So Sonia's. She tells me a lot, Jason, a lot because like with her condition, it's affecting her jaw a lot. She gets a lot of, she doesn't mind me mentioning that, but it fluctuates throughout her system in different areas. And since she's been here, it's been really escalating a lot more and more and more and more. And so when she was in the Lower Mainland, she never had that, not as much, a little bit. I shouldn't say not at all, but a little bit, but not here. It's the same thing. And so when you mention environmental for staff, I then realized that, it is, and it's really hard to diagnose because I've talked to people. It's like, well, where did Jason and Stephanie go? Like they moved. Oh no, yeah. There was like some lady, I guess, I don't know, like I've never seen her before, but I guess she must have seen us walking with you. And and I mentioned your names before. I said, no, they moved back to Winnipeg. Oh no, I said, all I can tell you is environmental, and I didn't want to get into talk about her condition because the lady, I've seen her before. She's one of those busy, like not really a busybody, but she likes to understand what's going on in the community area. And I just said, like, it's environmental. That's all I can tell you. And just well, I hope everything's going to be good. I go, right now that's the decision that they've had to make at this point in time in their life. But hey, guys, I mean, I was kind of wondering on that too. It's definitely, like I say, it had environmental issues have a huge impact on a person's well-being. On their life, and especially with a disability, it really can play havoc in so many ways. And of course, trying to find, like say, but you mentioned affordable housing versus the cost of living. It's almost the same, but it sounds like it's in some ways it actually sounds worse than BC in different variables. It's like you're getting the shorter end of the stick, and I mean, and nothing. I mean, people watching this, people say who live in Manitoba. I mean, nothing against people in Manitoba. Don't get me wrong, but it's but with Jason now, with you had experiencing what the rates were like in BC versus now in Manitoba, and then what you're having to go through. I hear you, Jason. But always remember that we're a phone call away, we're a text message away.
Of course.
And just keep us posted on how you're doing.
Of course.
Because definitely, who knows when the time comes. I mean, her and I might be back in the Lower Mainland, but trying to find affordable housing. Over $2,000 a month.
Oh my.
Yeah, but I should go to a landlord and say, well, the government give me 500. Will that work? Could I rent your washroom? I mean, maybe a washroom.
The government says that $500 is enough.
I could put a little heat plate on in the washroom, and like you got your little oven there, right there, and plug in a microwave. And
you live on the bus,
as long as the water doesn't splash in there and short circuit.
Live on the bus and stay warm at Denny's.
Oh no, I could live on the bus and stay warm at Denny's.
Oh yeah. The government says $7.75 is good for rent. Yeah, BS.
Yeah. And I mean, so the government hearing these stories, I mean, hearing what we're talking about right now, like, are you listening to us? Do you want more stories? Because there are going to be more guests coming on. We have like a 9-part series, Jason, that we do every Monday. Yours is like today. Yours is like an extension off of our Mondays series that we're doing. We do a 9-part series right now about disability stories, and yours is just an extension off of the Mondays because we just ran out of time on the Monday session, and where are we going with the disability stories going forward? Well, Neil, you could probably tell Jason a little bit about that.
Well, next Monday we're going to be doing a spotlight on cerebral palsy.
Oh, nice.
Since I am the editor producer, I get to call the shots sometimes. And I said, "Hey, Brent. Hey, Brent.
Are you the guest then?"
Well, yeah. Well, I'll be. It'll be me and Ellen and MJ. Because we all have cerebral palsy, so we're gonna form a little bit of an expert panel on and talk about cerebral palsy, and so
that's good. Yeah,
be a good conversation.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
And in between that time, for people that are watching this, Sonia and myself are actually going to be making a journey on Friday. We leave on this Friday, and we're actually going over to the mainland. And we're going to be meeting up with Neil, my editor-producer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're going to be meeting up, and then we're going to visit and Jake. Yes, and Jake.
Actually, you know what, though? I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. Like, he wanted so bad. He wanted so bad. But the problem is his two classes that he's doing the absolute worst in this year, socials and science, is his 2 afternoon classes. He can't afford to miss because he's doing actually quite poor in those right now. So his teacher said, do not miss any classes. So it just so happens like both of those science and socials are that on that day, so he can't. Unfortunately, he can't. As I thought, well, maybe it's okay if he misses. But because it's science and socials, it's like, no.
Maybe we should go there and do a brief one in class.
Go there and do a brief one in his class. We're high.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Show up in his classroom. Hi, I'm Brent the Weatherman.
Yeah, reading the class.
Talk to you live.
So we're broadcasting live. So why are you teaching Jake today?
Yeah. Why is Jake not doing well in his class?
Yeah. Tell me his story.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where that's at. I mean, with for Jake, we'll have to do a follow up, part 2.
He wanted so bad, and I thought, well, it's not too bad, but he told me the classes that you'd be missing, and like, you can't afford to miss them.
Well, let Jake know that we'll make another trip over to see Jake, just when the time is right, and we'll work on that one. Yeah. And then we're going over to see John, which Neil, you met John, and if I have time, to try and see my aunt who lives over there too. So I'm going to try to incorporate it in, and if not, then my aunt I'll see another time, and then that show is actually on Monday the 18th, the one that you're going to be doing. So we're going to be heading back either. Well, we were told that we are invited to stay until Monday. Well, we may have to head back on Sunday unless here's the thing. And of course, John's gonna be watching this too, because he loves watching the shows. Because it'll be like this is good, Jason. John will be watching this going, oh, great. Oh, you didn't tell me you have a show on Monday? So here's the thing: is here's an idea that I was actually gonna say to you before the show or after the show, but since Neil, you're on there now, I could actually broadcast with Sonia would be with me, but we could broadcast live on our pre-setup stuff at 12:45, right? And the show launches at 5 to the hour, and then we do it till 2 o'clock. Then we'd be out the door, your door, you would be like right there. Joanne, so I'm right there. You'd be like, yeah, and Sonia would be there listening live, watching the show, right? Your location. Here's the other thought as I was going to mention to John is that because we're going to be staying at his father's place, and it's a huge house. Do a pre-launch earlier in the morning. But then he's way out between Abbotsford and Chilliwack, so it's quite a voyage out. Of course, then we have to take the bus from there. So I'm not sure if that would really work too well, because if that's 10:45 or 11:45, we still got to trek our way out there to the ferry terminal at least if we're already at your place, we're already now, we're way over halfway there. Like we're out in Newton, so which is a lot closer to Tsawwassen.
That'd be fun to do.
My only concern is that if the reception wasn't 100% at his dad's house, then I mean, I'm sure it is, because I know the provider that he deals with, and he'd say they're 100% all the way. So, but that's again, in case there's any hiccups, so how long the show goes. At least if I'm at your place, the show ends. It ends. That's you know what I mean? Then we can then be on our way and catch the 5 o'clock ferry.
Yeah, we've never done a full show.
Yeah, but
here.
I think it could be good.
It'd be kind of fun, wouldn't it?
I think it would be fun, because that way we
welcome to my studio, my professional studio.
Yeah, but we leave there at say 2 o'clock or maybe a few minutes after, and we can catch the 5 o'clock ferry. We'd be basically back over here by 8:15. Right over at Urban Grocer there, Jason. Bus will pull us up 8:15, and then then I have to be up early in that morning at no later than 6 or 6:30, because we got a show on at 7:45 in the morning that morning.
That's true.
Oh wow.
Yeah. You see what I mean? So I got to make sure that because he's 3 hours ahead, so I got to make sure that I'm up early. So I think the timing would work out really well on that, and we could still stay until like Monday, but then, because I think he might even just drop us off at a bus loop, and then we just catch the bus out to your place and take the 66 all the way out to Lougheed, maybe Lougheed, or I should probably Carbolth, and then from there Langley out. So we'll figure it out. The timing on that, I think, will work out well, and I'm really looking forward to it. And then when we get back, Jason, we get she gets some of her prescription stuff ready over the pharmacy, and then we head out to Duncan and out to Nanaimo, and we're going to go and spend Christmas at her parents.
Oh, you're going for Christmas there? Nice.
Yeah, we're actually going to go this year, because last year we couldn't because we had the snowstorm.
Right. Yeah. That's right. That's right. 3 days.
What I'm looking forward to? Is the Bailey's Irish Cream, Tim Hortons coffees.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I've tried.
I want to try it.
Yeah, they're good.
They're good.
Are they good?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I'll have to try. Yeah, because I remember last year, like they had the snowstorm, and then of course the mail they just shut it down, and so at least the transit we can get out there, and but then we have to get a ride back, or we'd have to take the CityLink bus back, which
said she would drive.
$72 and something for 2 people back. But so what was that?
She said she'll drive.
Oh! I just heard that Sonia said her mother will drive us back because she doesn't want us to have to wait till the following Saturday to take us back. Yeah, because it would be too much company for them.
And
then of course So
that snowstorm last year. That's the time I couldn't work. I couldn't work for 3 days at Boston Pizza because there were no buses.
Yeah, we had not even 2 feet of snow, and it came a grinding halt. I in the Fraser Valley, Jason. There was like tons of snow. There was the one year. And I was working at McDonald's at the time, and like there was no customers. They had to shut it down. There was no customers. They couldn't even get into the parking lot. They had a bobcat, and it didn't even come in, and it just heavy snow, and it just piling up, and the wind was howling. Like that's the kind of weather they get out there, and the wind was howling from the northeasterly winds.
Wow!
And it was a Arctic outflow, and of course on the news we advised all motorists and pedestrians, if you don't have to go anywhere, stay home. The roads are not safe. And I'm watching the news. I'm thinking, I got to be at work in an hour and 45 minutes. And I'm thinking, I wonder how the sidewalks are. So I go out. Whoa, okay. And I'm thinking, the roads were like sheet ice. You could see it sparkling off on the road. Like you could see the plows went down. There was no sidewalks because they were all covered in snow. And it was like shit ice. It was like a skating rink, and I thought, this is going to be fun. It would have taken me, from where I was living at the time, it would have taken me about 25 minutes to walk there. Maybe with no snow, maybe a half hour, no problem. It took me, get this, an hour and 14 minutes to get there.
Wow.
Because it was like so dangerous. I actually slipped and fell a couple times, but in the snowbank.
Right.
Boom. Yeah. I'm like, but yeah, I get there and then I get there and oh yeah, we're actually shut down. So yeah, you can go back home. Would that be nice? A phone call right at the time saying, hey,
Oh yeah.
No, you're not having.
yeah. So I mean, that was my nightmare regarding snowstorms. Though I mean, so like the Fraser Valley, they can get hammered real good.
Oh, it's the same thing with here, especially if we have a Colorado low or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But they have transit still running out there though. Like the transit was still running, but barely. But here, if it would have been out here, oh no, it would have been.
Transit will run no matter what here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I remember seeing a bus slipping and sliding all over the place. I thought, okay.
I remember one year. This was in 2000. This was in 2006, where I had to go to school. I had to go to pastry school one day, and it was minus 52 in the morning with the windshield.
Wow.
Still had to take a bus.
Wow.
It was cold.
I remember the one year I was heading out. Is it Sonia? What was that one time? I phoned her up and she says, "What's going on? What was it?" You're like, remember at the store? Remember
Which store?
Remember that year? All the snow was coming down and the wind was just howling. And then I phoned you up and you're like, "Why? What's going on?"
Oh yeah, it's in Langley.
Yeah, I was in Langley and it
You
was
went to
snow.
McDonald's.
And I was going to McDonald's
I
and
Remembrance Day.
on Remembrance Day, the year, and it was howling the snow. It was just coming down. It was fierce winds. The winds were blowing at like 90 kilometers an hour, Jason.
Wow.
And from the northwesterly winds. And
November 11th.
and it was crazy, and the snow was coming down. And I thought, oh, this is going to be an interesting one. This bus pulls up to the bus exchange. The bus driver barely opens up his door, just a tiny little bit. He didn't. I'm looking at him, tapping on his door, and he's like nodding his head. No, like I'm not opening the door. He goes, I can't hear you. And he goes, I'm not in service. I could hear it. And he goes, what do you want? What do you want? He goes, I don't want to open the door. He says, it's nice and warm in here. I go, I'm freezing my ass off out here. I just want to know, are you going to be the bus that's going to be taking me up to my job site? He goes, where's your job site? I told him. He goes, no, you got to wait for the other bus. And Rob, sorry, but it's actually running about 48 minutes behind schedule. What? Oh no. He goes, and he said, that's to the sender from another route. He may lose time because they're having trouble. They're spinning going up a hill. I thought, oh no. I waited and waited. I thought, oh my gosh. And he goes, look, if I was in service, I would actually just take you up there and drop you off, but I can't.
Right.
I'm not allowed to do that. I'll get in trouble for my supervisor. And he goes, and trust me, it's like a skating rink going up that hill, up the hill. I'm like, oh. He goes, oh yeah, like bus drivers are like doing their jackknifing going down the hill. I'm like, oh my. So long story short, it took me quite a while to get there, and I just figured, you know what, I'm heading back home. I can't make it there. I followed up. You know what, I'm not coming in. Like my safety comes first, and the bus drivers are having a health time. That's fine, no problem. I get back. What are you doing here? Well, I'm gonna wait and then I'll see what the road conditions are. So anyway, I managed to make my way out there. Same thing happened. Guess what? Yeah, you can go home.
Right.
There's no customers.
Yeah.
And it comes down to accessibility wise, right? But I understand at the same time when road conditions are so bad, in the elements, I mean, out there, I'm just like, I guess thoughts were going through my mind at the time. I'm thinking, if somebody was homeless, like, how can they deal with these weather elements at that time? And I thought, wow, like, it's scary because some people they're having to deal with that, and they're trying to find just a safe place they could get warmed up. Like,
I think about that here,
Yeah.
especially when it gets to minus 30, minus 40 here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that a lot of them don't want to don't want to go to shelter. They want to go to they just want to go to the bus shack and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's just it's hard. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard seeing them like that.
It is, and like we had these glass bus shelters at the bus exchange, and
right.
And the wind was howling from one angle, and I thought, okay, and he's trying to stand inside these bus shelters, but the wind is howling right in there, so you go right behind the glass, and you don't even feel the wind. I thought, oh, this glass is now protecting me on the outside of the bus shelter. Go figure. And I thought, wow, and I thought, well, people are like this one guy. He was all curled up further down in one of the other shelters that was further down, and I walked up to him and I said, "Are you okay?" And there was this one coffee shop that was open. Amazing enough, I call him the coffee man. He was open, and so I went. I asked him. I said, "Can I get you a cup of coffee or hot chocolate or something?" And he says, "What? Oh, that is amazing." He says, "Nobody's ever done that for me before. They've never." You know what? It might take me a little bit of time because I'm not going up to my job site now. Like, it's just not happening today. I'll go get you one. So I walked all the way down, and it was only like a 4-minute walk.
Right.
It took me like about 9 minutes. But I got down there, and then I took it right back up to him. I gave him a drink, and he was so grateful because I just thought it was just the right thing to do at the time. But yeah, I mean, that's my adventures when it comes to that. I mean, and with the wind chill, it felt like minus 28 with the wind chill. Like it was a fierce wind, and they're advising people stay home. Hey, Jason, stay home. If you don't do it, meanwhile, I'm venturing out, going, nope, I was determined. No, I'm going to go. It was hell. Like it was hell and
Yeah, you got to work and they sent you home.
Yeah. And then I said, then when I got there, they sent me home anyway. But what are you doing here? I'm like, I was like, well, because I'm supposed to be here. Yeah, well, and get this. Oh, you're like almost 2 hours late getting here. Like, well, I wouldn't, if that was me, I wouldn't have come in. I go, I'm showing an effort that I'm coming here. Like, well, you can go home. You can go home because there's no customers. When we tried phoning you, but you didn't pick up. I go, yeah, the wind was howling and I didn't hear my phone ringing. Sorry. I don't want to get frostbite. Oh, hi, holding my phone going, oh, hey, I don't feel my hand anymore.
Yeah. Anyway, we can wrap up now, Brent. We're 5 minutes shy of 2 hours, so.
Yeah. Well, Jason, I'll have you on again as a part two. Yeah, definitely, and we'll dive into about how accessibility-wise and housing stuff has affected both of you.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
For sure. And say hi to Amy. Amy! Hi, Amy!
Hi, Brent!
Pretty much.
Hang on, Sonia wants to say hi.
Hi, Amy.
Sonia, lean over this way.
Oh,
Here.
where is she?
Oh, hang on, Sonia. She's right here.
Oh, there she is. Oh, hi, Amy. Bye.
Hi, Amy.
She's on the devices already.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, she's, like I say, she's really grown fast.
She has.
You talking yet?
Is she talking yet?
Still no talking. Couple words here and there. Every day, yeah.
Just walking around a lot now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, see, Mom and Dad, look what I can do.
Pretty much.
She's probably thinking herself, you wait till I start talking.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'll be
it's fun though.
the
It's all like, as a parent, I can tell you, like every phase is fun.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, seriously,
Oh, yeah.
like every new phase is like it's a blast. It really is. Like
It is.
I just had so much fun, like with Jake. Like every new age, and even like when you're so young, I was like every month it's a new thing, and you're like, wow, this is great.
It is. Yeah. It's a blessing just to watch them grow.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Look, Mom and Dad, I'll be when I grow up, I'm going to be a guest on his podcast. And I can tell you what I remember what Mommy and Daddy went through.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely. I'm looking forward to having you guys on part two, and Yeah, and when we can, we'll venture out. Like I said, yeah, keep me posted on the airline stuff too, Jason. And
Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
never know when there's Jason Stephanie is never know when there's a rock bottom rate. I mean, who knows? We probably have to leave at 5:45 in the morning.
Oh yeah. We went to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what time did you guys get to the airport? About a couple hours early, did you?
Yeah, we got there. We got to the airport around 3:30.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah.
Which nothing opened. They didn't open until 3:45.
Oh,
But a good thing we went at 3:30 because it was packed by before 4.
oh, wow.
Yeah. So
It's always that's why it's always advised to get there earlier than later because
exactly.
Yeah. And then when the time comes, we'll look at a accommodation when we get there too. Don't want to stay in no flea bag hotel or something.
No, of course not. No.
But we'll figure that out when the time
Sure,
comes.
there's a choice hotel or something.
Yeah, there might be a choice hotel somewhere. They're usually quite reasonable. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, and I mean, who knows? By the time we get there, you guys might already be moved back out.
Yeah, right.
I highly doubt it.
No, and it's definitely. I'm looking forward to having you guys back on, and we'll stay.
Same.
Anytime you guys want to do a Zoom or something in between, like maybe not on the show, just let me know, and I can set up a quick little Zoom myself too for you guys.
Sure.
And
For
just,
sure.
or I can use you can Messenger too, eh?
Yeah.
Messenger has its own built-in thing there too. We can do it that way. So
Yeah.
Either way, we'll stay in contact here. Your journey has definitely has opened up eyes, I think, of a lot of people across the country of what you've gone through.
For
because
sure.
a lot of people are going through a lot of things that are very similar or maybe identical, or they can relate to it, or they can relate to it and say, "Hey, I have a family member that's going through the same thing. Oh, I never knew that the system was this way, or they're their disabled people are not well taken care of, or they're looked down on."
Mhm.
The system sucks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
The
Yeah,
system's
and
broken, but it's broken on purpose.
Exactly.
On purpose, yes.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
masterfully designed by who knows who, but it was the pink unicorn's fault.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Blame it on the pink unicorn.
Yeah, exactly. They're magic, right? Is it? Yeah.
So-
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Jason and Stephanie.
No problem.
We'll be in touch soon.
Yeah, sounds
Yeah.
good.
Okay,
All right,
bye,
thank you.
Ron. Bye, Ron.